inside the Crazy Ant Farm. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me on the Crazy Ant Farm. Appreciate it.
Of course. We're excited to talk to you. We always like talking to fellow filmmakers and loving hearing their stories and their journeys and the film. Intense storyline, so we're excited to get into that and the impact that it can have, and we're all about storytelling and using our art to start conversations, and I feel like that film probably going to do a lot of that, so we'll dive into that for sure. But what we like to do to start off with everything is just kind of do a little introduction for the people that may not be familiar with you. So how did you get started in the industry? We always like to ask. Was it something that you knew you always wanted to do? Did you kind of fall into it? How'd you get started?
Well, I started in the industry because I started acting.
Yes.
And I started at an older age, and so I took like 5 years of classes at one studio. I jumped to another studio. And then, of course, because like every actor, I went out to LA. I wanted to study with the groundlings. So I did that. And I studied with all sorts of different methods. The method, Meisner,
Yep.
Strauss, all of them. So I did all that. And then I realized that every role that I auditioned for, I had to wait around for somebody to either accept me or reject me. But at an older age, there wasn't a lot of roles for me unless I was like, I had Alzheimer's or I was a witch or there wasn't, they were kind of more supporting roles.
Yeah.
So I stupidly just jumped into filmmaking. I just said, I'm going to make a film. And then the first film I made was a short called Carrie and Angie. And I made it on a very low budget, and it turned out great. It was accepted at festivals.
Yeah.
It won some awards. It went on Shorts TV. And then I don't know, I've made like 3 more shorts. And I don't know why they do really well. This one, I kind of upped my game with the budget.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, it kind of went over my head, so I'm still trying to audition my way into commercials to get some money to get out of my hole.
Yep.
And I know people say to me, well, what are you going to get out of this film? How much money are you going to make? What are you going to get back? And I just said, well, probably nothing at all. So it was really hard. I'm sure you maybe can relate. It's very hard to understand why I do it.
Yeah.
And what I get out of it, but I wouldn't like not make films, even though
Exactly.
I'm not very, very financially lucrative on them. I do know next time I definitely am going to get a line producer.
Yeah.
There you go.
First hire line producer who can take care of the budget, because every time anybody ups the budget, I just get anxiety. And you can ask my director and I just freak.
Yeah.
No, we're right there with you. Trust us. We are filmmakers ourselves. And I definitely, with indie filmmaking, you have to wear multiple different hats. So when it came to the budget and the producing part of that specific thing, I left that to my business partner, Dustin. I was like, I can't even, it's very hard. I'll look at it and you keep me updated and all the things. But yes, it's very stressing, very time inducing. Trying to crunch the numbers is something crazy. But I think I really liked what you said about, learning from your projects that you have done before in the past, because we've done the same thing as well. When we shot and put out our first film, when we were on set, we didn't have an editor attached yet. So we really didn't know we knew how we were going to edit it. But I mean, to find an editor who could talk about our creative vision was something that we felt like was kind of difficult to do, because not a lot of people know out there. And this podcast is for the up and comers trying to break into the entertainment industry. So our pitfalls are definitely worth the stories and worth the conversations. But finding a really good editor or even a decent one can be very expensive. And when we are indie filmmakers, we put in a lot of our own money, or we resort to or look at different things like crowdfunding or angel investment and different things like that. So it's very important to look at all the different avenues and look at all the things that you feel like are most important for each of your films. So don't feel bad about any of it. We're right there with you. Trust us. We're in the pre-production stage of our next film right now, and boy, oh boy, it's looking interesting. That's for sure, because we're going from a one certain size budget to a $15,000 more. So it's going to be very interesting to
Right.
see how it turns out. But we're hopeful. You got to be positive in this industry to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for as far as editors are concerned, like my first film, the cinematographer did the editing,
Mm.
and it was supposed to be a comedy. And when I got it back, it was like it wasn't a comedy.
Oh goodness.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
funny, yeah, he had edited the funny out. So I found another editor, which is always hard because you have to take the project away.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's been my editor on all my films, although I have to say, my third film, I actually attempted to do another editor,
Mm.
and I don't know what he was thinking. He definitely edited out everything. It was like so dismal.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Funny how you can have all these people, this collaboration, everything perfect. You got a great cinematographer, great gaffer. You're in love on the set. The acting is flowing, and then you get to post production. You go, what happened?
Yeah.
You literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great point, because I talk about it all the time. And an editor is the most significant part of the crew, because they can make or break your film. You can have the best script and the best acting and the best directing possible, and they can make it look like it belongs in, a cartoon back end bin somewhere, right? Or they can take a subpar film and make it look like it's Oscar worthy if you have a good editor. It really is critical to find somebody who knows what you want, right? Understands your vision and can deliver on your vision, because it's so crucial. I don't think enough people understand the editing process, and sometimes it's as simple as taking out one scene or shifting
Or a frame.
or a
Just a
frame.
frame.
Exactly, it changes the entire scope of the film, and yeah, it's so critically important. It's like, no, this was
My new film, 42 Seconds. Well, hopefully, I don't want to say, but there was some acting that didn't work.
yeah.
Mm.
And so what we had to do in editing is edit completely around it.
Oh.
Like, I can't explain it, but like the actor that didn't work, we would just sew a frame and then you throw it on the other actor and then took the whole thing from a different point of view.
Yeah.
It's amazing what editing does.
Right?
It's like 1 second and you can recreate.
Yeah.
You could stall a film. My film before this, it was actually at the Phoenix Film Festival, and my partner and I were watching it, and we looked at each other and we go, "This isn't working." So we went back
no.
and had to re-edit it because the story, it just wasn't building; it was stalling.
Yeah.
So we took everything out. I'm not an editor, but I sit there with the editor and watch the magic.
Yeah.
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 Most definitely. And I mean, just to be able to maneuver around everything and to have that that open dialogue, I feel like is important too, because we also went through a few editors trying to find the right one for our project, and sometimes there was certain people who were like, well, if you did it this way, that wouldn't really make sense here, or we want to shorten your film down to this because of the attention span, and but we're like, but you're getting away from our vision. We're the directors. We are the ones that are putting this out, distributing it, and you're getting away from our vision. So we, like you, we've had to find different ones to try to navigate and to overall tell our vision. And I think that's what's most important, because I, like you said, things can get completely lost on the cutting room floor that should be in the forefront of the actual film. So it's always very funny, but it's so interesting too, because do you ever go back and watch the films with family members, friends, and like nitpick it and see the little tiny things that they don't even notice? I think that's always one of the most fun things to do.
Right. I sit in, when it's being screened, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then, but that's okay, because I feel like what you love right then and there, you might hate a year from now, because you're a different storyteller at that point. You would have done it a different way at that point. And that's okay, because art is supposed to be interpretive anyway. So it doesn't matter. It's like how whoever sees it at whatever point, at whatever time, is going to interpret it the way they want to interpret it. And you just have to be okay with letting it go. It's like, I've put it out there now. It is what it is. This is how it was when I made it, but maybe even I think it's different, now than what it is. But as an artist, you just have to realize that that's the process, right? You just put it out for the world to digest and ingest, and then you're like, okay. Because, I know, I go back and I look at our first film and I'm like, we could have done this and we could have done that, and now I would say it this way, or now I would say it that way, but it's okay. That's the whole thing. I love that process. And it's interesting because you said you threw it and then you took it from a different angle and everything, because one of I think the most critical mistakes that early on filmmakers make, and it's no doubt because it's balancing the budget, trying to figure out how you can do it, right. How can we afford it or whatever, but not having multiple cameras or not being able to get multiple angles, because when you get into the editing room, if you have a bad actor, you have a scene that's not working, and you have no other shot to cut to edit to, then you're in trouble. So the idea of, even if you have one camera, make sure you're coming at it, let's shoot it this way. Let's shoot it this way. Let's do this. Because the more your editor has, the better film you're going to have. Because I see so many young filmmakers make the mistake of, they have nothing to cut to.
My second film, we were letting the camera roll after we called cut. And this is a great advice to filmmakers as well. Let it roll. The actors will relax. And if you have an actor that's pushing, you're going to get a more natural performance. Yep. And you could just take a reactive shot, or you can take a line of dialogue, or have them improv a little. At least there's something that you can turn to if an actor's pushing, or they don't know the camera's rolling.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. And I'm curious too, because you've talked about how you're shelling out your own money and things like that. Do you normally pay for all of your own films? Do you try to get a pool going, or do you do like crowdfunding? What's your process when it comes to finding money?
My first one I used Kickstarter, but I don't know why. It seems like it was so much cheaper 10 years ago or more. Mm-hmm. And the second one, I did a crowdfunder, and that one was like guerrilla filmmaking. It turned out it won like a best comedy. It won awards, but maybe people weren't looking for great technical stuff. And then the last one, I actually split the cost with my co-actor. Mm-hmm. And this one, I put my own money in, and then we did something I don't know if every filmmaker is aware of. We did a, what's it called? It's a nonprofit. We did From the Heart Productions. Yeah. And it's a nonprofit organization. They accepted our film, so it's tax deductible. So we got, we must have got 12,000 or more in donations.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
We actually got almost 7,000 in post-production from somebody I didn't even know. He was a friend of one of the actors. I was like, are you sure? I mean, you want to do this? But this way you're offering them a tax deduction. I can send them the tax number. I felt that was really important because this isn't like a feature where they can invest and I'm going to give them money back.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's a very creative approach to come at it, especially with the content. So let's dive into it. First of all, I'm really curious as to where the idea for the story came from. Is that something that you personally went through? Is it something that somebody knew? It's called 42 Seconds, and it's about survivors of a mass shooting, and they're coming back to the location because they're all having a really hard time dealing with it, and they're trying to move past and heal, so they come back to this location to reminisce and talk about it. But where did the idea of the shooting concept come from? And talk about that a little bit. What was the process of writing it?
Well, I belong to a theater. It's like a kind of an ensemble group, and we have short plays every summer. And it was a short play. It was written by Kurt Scheinman. And I kept watching this short play. Of course, when it's a play, it's all exposition.
Right.
You're saying three characters, it's flat. So I said, can I develop this? That's where I got the idea. And I was attracted to it because this is like the sad part, but I experienced a lot of childhood trauma when I was young. And so I had to really to survive, I've had a lot of therapy. I've done a lot to develop myself as the person I am today. But to get rid of a lot of the symptoms of trauma that kind of go into your amygdala, into your brain. And so this was a way for me to show that what happens when people have trauma and the way they survive, and that it's a slow process. And also each one of the characters, it wasn't in the play at all, but each one of the characters has different symptoms. Everybody expresses it differently, trying to cover up. So the male character, Jake, he's angry, of course, and no offense, guys, but like all men, he thinks if he saves his girlfriend who went through the experience, that that's the problem. Yeah, and he's drinking herself. She has definitely shut herself off from her life.
Yep.
And even physically, she's getting migraines. I actually put myself in all my films. So my character, is, she's actually trying to be a good person and go along with the therapist. And that's how they end up in the diner. So, but she wakes up at night. She can't sleep. She has insomnia. And so they're trying to work their self way to a new normal. And so this is my way. I took a Sundance collab for screenwriting.
Okay.
And I tried to write something from my experience, what happened to me. And it just didn't work. Nobody liked it. Well, I didn't like it. Nobody understood. It just didn't work. I'm best when I express myself through my characters. Yeah. When I'm actually writing about what happened to me, more from like the essence of it, or from the emotional place of it, rather than the actual literal experience.
Well, that's good though.
Mass shooting.
Yeah. Well, that's good too. But it's all about, writing what you know and feeling what you're most comfortable, putting out there. As people who have also dealt with childhood trauma and adult trauma, of course, I feel like we all have.
We all have. You can't get through life.
You really can't without making it out with some sort of scars. But it's very interesting though, because we always talk about, if there's not a project out there for you, if you're not getting any of those calls, be sure to create your own content. And that's what you're doing. So I want to give you your applause for that, because it takes a lot of strength and courage to be able to do that, because it's a terrifying industry. We have a friend who I'll keep nameless. He just got kind of screwed over. He had an angel investor for $10 million, signed paperwork, everything looked over, everything looked fine, had boots on the ground in Atlanta, and then a week before shooting, the angel investor says, no, I actually don't have any money. So our friend had to pay out of his own pocket all of these people who had already been there getting ready to set up, taken time away from their families to go to a job that they thought was going to happen. So that's why it takes a lot of courage to do this, not just to get over your own self-esteem and to put yourself out there, but there's also shady people in the entertainment industry that will screw you over. So that's why I don't love telling that story. That's an awful situation that happened. But I mean, spreading awareness about these things are very important. So to be able to have that courage to do it yourself, I feel like takes a lot of strength. So kudos to you. I just wanted to give you a round of applause, of course.
I just have one more thing. I found that for being a filmmaker, what I try to do is I try to get key people, not famous people, but like my director, Steve Anderson, and also I got a wonderful cinematographer, Byron Warner from LA, who worked for $1,500, and he's now in Italy filming Verona, with I forget their names, but all these famous people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he agreed to work on the film. I just wrote to him and I said, "Hey, I looked at your reel. Here's my script." And he was just wonderful. I think he felt like he was in, daycare with us. But what that does is, I have Byron, I have Steve. People want to work with them because they can get experience. These people are really good, and they will work for less money.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll volunteer to be in a great environment with people who really know what they're doing. I just recommend that to new filmmakers. And it doesn't have to be an actor, because who cares about actors? You have to, no offense, actors, but to get a B-roll actor or more, you have to pay them your whole budget. So you can get great actors without that. But go on Stage 32 and just look for some really good crew.
Yeah. Yeah. Crew is key. And you're right. And it is, I feel like, because there are crew members out there, there are people in this industry that even have reached a level of success and they are monetarily okay, and but they're genuine artists who do it because they love the craft. They love the art, and they will work on smaller projects for less money. They will do it because they love to do it. And so I think I'm glad you brought it up, because I think a lot of first timers are like, no, he's got some big credits, he'll never work on my film. It's like, just ask. The worst that happens is they say no, but you'd be surprised how many say yes. So go out there, find somebody, and then establish those relationships and keep those relationships, because that's how it fosters into more of...
I did that twice. I had, on my other film, I had a really great guy too. Yeah. And Byron... This is so stupid, but I looked at his reel and he had like Michael Caine, all these famous people. And I thought, oh, he was probably like, maybe a cameraman on the set, and they let him use the footage.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine why he would say yes to our project. And so, but he said yes. And he even flew out and, to our location before the shoot, and went up there with the gaffer and my director. He was just wonderful.
Yeah.
And also during editing, I could send things to him. And he probably made as much on our shoot as he makes like an hour someplace else. And
I
he
love
also
that.
got his own dolly. He brought it up.
Yeah. Absolutely love that. That's the kind of
People
stories.
wanted to volunteer. I'm like, yay, okay.
Yeah. Because then they can walk away going, hey, I just had this experience. I just learned this. Before you know it, they're DP in their own project somewhere.
Exactly.
And, and that's what it's all about. We have been very fortunate to have people do that for us. Hey, come do this. Come do this. I'll teach you this. I'll teach you that. Or we meet this person, or we meet that person. And we've been very lucky in that. So we try to do that as well. Whatever we've been blessed with, we're going to try to do for others, because that's how we all make it in this industry. That's how we all get along in this industry and get to do what we love. So it makes me so happy to hear that others are out there doing it, because that's just so wonderful. So important.
They were great.
Yeah.
I love that too. And surrounding yourself with good people, I feel like, is very important. And with 42 Seconds being such a hardcore, heavy hitting, drama, social justice project, however you want to describe it, whatever box you want to put it in. How did you keep the morale high on set? How did you keep everybody loose and not going inside their own head on set? How do you keep trying to make it fun?
Oh, it was really fun, because I had such fun people. Our makeup, everybody was great. The only people who really had to dive deep was me and the two other leads.
Right, right.
Yeah. And they were like crying all the time. Yeah. And the director cried with us. But we broke it up. We have flashbacks, which also I had to do a lot of research on, because the script was kind of not working, and so I had to learn how to do those. We have flashbacks and we have present day. So flashbacks are actually fun. Well, they're not that fun, because there's a shooting in the just
yeah.
that. Not that fun.
Yeah,
Not
but
that fun.
you can tell though that you love the storytelling aspect, the process of, and I think that's so critically important when you make the transition to director, because you are in a sense the storyteller. You are crafting, you are taking it from the page and putting it out there for reality, and I love your approach on how you do that. And so one of the things we always talk about is being able to use our art to start conversations and to be able, if we can reach one person that might be going through something that your film is talking about, struggling with, and it doesn't have to be a shooting, it can be any traumatic event that they're dealing with, and to know that they can, because it's not easy. People don't normally just sit down around the table and say, let's talk about shootings, let's talk about this traumatic thing I went through with. But when they talk about a film that they've just seen, and that starts the conversation that leads to the deeper conversation of their own trauma or whatever, then that's what it's all about. If you can produce art that entertains and educates and informs and God willing, reaches people and helps people, that's like the whole point. When going back to the very top of the interview, when you said, when people were asking you, what do you do it for, what do you, if you're not getting any money out of it, what's the point, what
What is the point?
yeah, that's the point, right? Your art is reaching people. It's making a difference somehow in someone's life. On a bad day, somebody sees your film and goes, man, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one going through this kind of a thing. And that's everything for a storyteller or an artist. That's
another, your point, like when I first went to a screening without the cast, the crew, friends, and family, because they'll always tell you, oh, that was great.
Oh, yeah.
No, so I went to the first screening. It was in Chicago. I was like, oh, they're going to hate it. Or, blah, I'm like this. And then it was a large audience, and I know, I'm just so touched. I won an award, and people came up to me and they said they were so touched. I mean, I had to videotape it for the cast and crew because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It felt like I was disassociating.
Yeah.
Because, so what you're saying is, in editing, I think it's in the editing and in the shooting, there has to be a way, and in the writing, to let the audience in.
Yes.
And it's in pacing. How slow do you want them to come in and go, what's going on? What are they doing? What's happening? It's such a fine line. It's so fine. And you want to have, like, the actors, maybe they're crying, but you don't want the audience just to watch them cry.
Right. They have to connect. There has to be a connectability
it's
there.
so hard to write like that and film like that and edit like that. And so at the beginning, I thought, this is too slow. It's too slow. And then people said, I loved your pace, how you let us in. I went, whoa, okay.
Isn't that a great feeling?
Well, it is, except, like, we fought over every moment, me and the director and the colorist and the editor. It was a battle. And the sound designer. It wasn't pretty.
That's what it's all about, though.
Yeah. Everybody's feelings were hurt. I was I was like a mediator. I should have, gotten paid.
Post-production has been known to be the war zone sometimes. It's all good. It's okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so what you were saying is, how do you let an audience in without trying to push it on them?
Right.
It's a fine line.
It is.
It really is. It really is. Well, the film is on the festival circuits right now, right?
Yeah, the next one is going to be in New York. I just made arrangements on it's going to New York City on January 22nd at 5:00. I don't have details of the theater yet, though.
Nice.
For sure. Do you have any ideas for, like, distribution? Are you just gonna put it out on, like, YouTube, or are you gonna put it behind a paywall or anything?
My others just went, I never make any money on Shorts TV and Indie Flicks.
Yep.
And my last one, some of the festivals, I don't know, they had distribution. They wrote me and picked it up for like $50 or, something so ridiculous. But this one I'd like to give to the National Alliance of the Mentally Ill, or, to if they want it, or to like Gabrielle Gifford, or
Yep.
Bloomberg organization.
Right.
It doesn't preach anti-gun violence.
Hmm.
There's nothing. It's not a mouthpiece for that, but it shows, the after effects.
Yeah.
So it's not a preachy film.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? That's another fine line. How do you make a film that addresses a situation without making it sound like it's a platform for you to push your agenda, right? Then there is a fine line to balance there about, I don't want this to be a mouthpiece or an agenda that I think I'm trying to put out there for the world. I just want it to entertain and inform and say this is what we're talking about. And yeah, that's sometimes difficult to do. But yeah, well, congratulations. I mean, just like I said, hearing you.
I have a question too that
Sure.
maybe you guys know or some of your audience is I find festivals very frustrating and expensive, and their selection process
Yeah.
is beyond my imagination. You get 17,000 films and you're going to choose 100?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
or 4,000 films. I can't even imagine what 4,000 films. So I think I have some other scripts I'm writing, but I'd like to put them out in a different way. And I know there's different platforms. So that's just a question I have. Maybe
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Put that
maybe your
out there.
audience can think about
We,
that.
we did pretty well after we submitted festivals and all that kind of. We did pretty well with. I'm not going to say massive amounts, but we did pretty well making a little bit of money off Vimeo, like putting it out on Vimeo, and you can put it up, and they have to pay for it, and they can get a code to watch it. They have So yeah, there are platforms out there where you can put it behind a paywall, and you can set the price so it's not crazy expensive, but yeah, it worked pretty well for us. You can recoup a little bit of money, but it does give it access on a broader audience. So
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Great.
check
It
that
doesn't
out.
have to be the money, just the
exactly,
audience.
just the audience, yeah, and I believe even on Vimeo at a certain point you can take it from behind the paywall and just make it available for people who have the code to watch it. So it does give it a much larger platform. So
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Do you use Film Freeway?
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
all
a
the fun
process.
stuff.
The one thing that I've always found mind-boggling to me is the prices. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't think there should be any fee to submit your film. If they decide that they want to move forward in the process of using your film, exhibiting your film, then there should be a fee. It'd be like, okay, great. Here's my fee, and you're going to use my film, and it's going to be amazing. The idea that you have to pay these crazy amounts of money
Crazy
to
amount.
festivals
Crazy.
to get told they're not going to pick your film is insane.
Yeah.
I'll gladly pay you $500 if you're going to exhibit my film to a wide audience. I'm not
Yeah.
going to pay you $500 to never hear from you. Like,
Yeah.
Well, you pay like $50.
Exactly.
And then they write you. Unfortunately, we had 20,000 films.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
And we watched yours for sure.
Yep.
And please come to our festival.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Please
It's
come
like, just
by.
write
Yeah.
to me and go, you lose, sucker, and I'll be fine.
Yep.
Right.
You're right. It is.
Exactly. I
Well,
know.
so. No, go ahead,
Yeah.
Logan. I was going to say that's just another warning to people getting into the industry, indie filmmakers. It's a beast, the circuit. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it
I was
is.
on a podcast a couple weeks ago with a buddy who likes to critique films and tries to go the TikTok lane, and it's pretty successful with it. But he didn't know the process behind submitting your film to film festivals. I'm like, yeah, man, there's different tiers, and like if you're going for like a Sundance or South by Southwest, be expected to pay a lot of money to submit your films. Those film festivals that yeah, those are going to be the ones that you're going to have to shell out a whole lot of money for. The ones that you don't know, you might be able to get by with a little bit less. But yeah, it's a crazy process right now with all that.
It is. Yeah, we submitted to Sundance because my director was so sure we were going to get in. I go, it's ridiculous. It's like $50, early deadline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they write me this nice letter. We had, 17,000 submissions.
Of course.
And then I looked on Instagram and what's her name? Malia,
Yeah.
Obama's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Malia. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had a short film, Jesse Eisenberg, Kristen Stewart. I went, there's no way.
Yeah. Those guys are gonna get picked first, but it's okay. It's all right. But on the flip side of that, though, for every story that you hear like that, just real quick, because I do want to put it out there for filmmakers, because it does happen. You get a Damien Chazelle who makes a short film like Whiplash, and somebody sees it and goes, "Holy shit, let's make a full feature out of that one." And then it's launched his career as a director into feature films. It does happen. So the idea that, you make these shorts and you do it for the love of the craft and the art, and they get seen, maybe they don't. There is those stories where somebody sees it and goes, "Wow, you're really talented and we want to continue to work. Let's make this film." So,
like you're saying, it's really good. Like, I can use my films for demo reels.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
they're quality. I can use them for, so if you're an actor, it's a great way to get demo reels. Also, if you want to make another film, people aren't going to give you any money if you don't have a film that you finished.
Yep.
And it's up there. It's really good for everybody on the project. If it's a good project, they can put it on their resume.
That's it. That's right.
Yeah.
All good things.
Everybody benefits.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Judith, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the
thank
show
you.
today and getting a little crazy with us. It doesn't even seem like it's been like 36, 37 minutes. Time just flies when you have fun.
That's right.
For
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
No, thank
Let me
you.
know if there's a
course.
festival in New Orleans. I want to come back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course.
New Orleans has the whole state of Louisiana has several dozen festivals, and they all do pretty well. So.
Oh, really? I'm gonna look. I'm
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
in
No.
Florida.
Yeah. You should definitely
Yeah,
look it up. The
exactly.
NOLA Film Festival is a pretty big one, and Lafayette and Baton Rouge, they all have their own little, and they all do pretty well. So check them out.
Okay, have fun on Frenchman Street. my
Yeah. Of course.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's all about social media right now. So is there any social media platforms that we can drive our followers and listeners to?
There's, we have one. Oh, just go to the website for the film. It's www.42seconds.org.
Okay.
Fantastic. We'll drive everybody there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Of course. Well, listen, thank you again so much. Take care, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, it's always great talking and connecting with other fellow indie filmmakers, that's for sure. And I mean, just getting into the nitty-gritty of all the different things. It's so fun.
Yeah, and the process, right? Because I think people hear us talk about it and they're like, "Oh no." But every time we have somebody come on and they go, "Oh, they went through the same shit. Oh, they did this, or oh, they did that." And they talk about the same things that are important, right? And the things to look out for. So it is always it's such a good time to hear people say, "No, this is how it works, but it's fun and you could do it." And even if it, she seemed, I love her because she's clearly a storyteller, right? But the one thing though that I love that really stood out about the whole interview, and I think is very important because we hear it from people like Judith all the way up to big stars that we interview. Make content. If nothing is happening for you, go make your own content, because that's how you stay relevant. That's how you get yourself out there. And to see people doing it, I mean, it's the best advice, whether it's coming from an A-lister all the way down to an indie filmmaker. It's the same advice. Make content. Get yourself out there. So, love that.
All good things, man. All good things. Thank you again, Judith, for coming on the show.